What's poppin', everybody? This is the cartoon kid Ray Rawlins, and today, for our modern SpongeBob review, we are talking about season 6, episode 5, part 1, the Splinter. Man, ooh, this is an infamous one right here. A lot of people have negative reviews on this, but I don't know, man. I don't know. We're going to talk about it when we get into the review portions because I definitely got a lot to say about it. But before we get started with that, Mr. Alex Payne, you're going to have to hit us with that episode breakdown before we break it down. So what happened?
SpongeBob gets a splinter and tries to take it out.
Well, simple enough, I guess.
I mean, that's what it is. It's literally nothing else. That's what it is.
SpongeBob's working at the damn Krusty Krab, right? You know, him doing his little childish antics. He's tossing the spatula, getting off, freaking out of control. Spatula gets stuck up in the ceiling. He climbs and tries to create a little ladder contraption to get up there and get it. And what happens is he ends up getting the spatula, almost ends up falling to his death. And he ends up slipping on the wooden floor. And, of course, he puts his hands out to stop himself. Hand right across the ground. Gets a nice splinter in his finger. And, you know, he's trying to hide it from Mr. Krabs because Squidward said he's going to tell him. So, yeah, like you said, the whole episode is surrounding SpongeBob getting a splinter and him trying to get it out. I got to give a more fucking in-depth breakdown than that, man. You're bogus. This is why people don't like you. Listen, people don't like you, man. Okay? Now, my first impressions is, because you told me you're on the up and up about this stuff more than I am. But you said that a lot of people give this episode negative reviews because of the whole disgust factor. And you know what? It's funny because I'm not one to get, grossed out easily at all. But rewatching this again, because I've seen this like a couple times, probably like 3-5 times, but rewatching again today and actually paying attention to it, boy, they do not play games when they talk about that whole gross out factor, man. Because they are 100% for real with it.
I mean, for Christ's sake, there's a point where some of SpongeBob's pus drips into Squidward's eye.
My lord. Oh, my lord. Ooh. Listen, I'll tell you this. Once he dragged his hand across the ground and you see that splinter, that's the number one thing that stuck out to me is like, man, did he get a splinter or did he get a freaking whole piece of wood stuck to his finger? Like, that thing is big as hell. I mean, I get it's a splinter.
Too.
See, you listen with headphones. I don't. And I should. I need to listen to. Boy, I know it's not anything nice. But my whole theory on this, or my whole first impressions opinion, is I think people are going over the line with the whole disgust factor thing. It's disgusting, yes. Obviously, they played that up to a maximum. But I think people are going overboard with it. I'll talk about it more during the review portion of this video, but I'm going to leave you to give your first impressions, and you can hop in to moments right after.
Honestly, my first impression is that, for the most part, this episode is just empty and boring.
Really?
Like, I mean, not really that much happens. It's just like a whole bunch of nothingness. I mean, Squidward says no for like 2 minutes.
Yeah, I can definitely agree on that one. Yeah, you're right.
And it takes like about around 4 to 5 minutes for SpongeBob to actually get the splinter. So that's half the episode.
It happens pretty quickly. Just my opinion, but I will agree with you on that.
But
this episode, go ahead.
To lead into moments though, like a lot of the I partially want to agree that people are definitely getting a little too, but I could see because like the moment that really stuck out to me, I was like, oh god, Jesus, was when friggin' Patrick's dumb.
Yes. Yep.
And
I know where you're going with this.
Patrick did not need to be there. There was no point of him being in this episode.
He did not. That's what they waste time with.
It's like
why did he call Patrick and not Sandy? That's what I wonder.
My question is, why was Patrick giving him a foot job? Because he was just sucking on that foot.
His finger. He was giving him.
No, he was sucking on the foot at one point. Yes, positive, 1,000,000%. Because I was like, this nigga.
Because I know he was sucking the splinter. Oh my lord.
I mean, this guy was sucking his foot like
The, the,
he
the
was
thing the thing with Patrick that really disgusted me, and you obviously know it, is the whole garbage thing. He's like, oh yeah, your finger's swelling. We're gonna have to put this garbage compress, boom, and you see this green ash. It's like, oh my god, oh, that's when I really started to get grossed out.
and
I
then
don't
it
like
gets
garbage.
infected and purple and shit.
Oh, ugh. Listen, nothing can disgust you more when Mr. Krabs was looking at that shit and he was trying to examine it and removing, obviously gets the garbage off of it, and then it just freaking squirts pus out at him, just right in his face. It's like, oh man. But Mr. Krabs handled that like a gangster though. He really didn't question like where the hell did this garbage come from? He's like, okay, no problem here. Like a straight gangster pulled that mess out. So Mr. Krabs deserves a medal for that one. I will tell you this though. Once SpongeBob got that splinter in his finger, besides being as weirded out about how big it was, the thing that really stuck out to me was the redness. The redness and the swelling. They put like 100% detail in that shit because I'm not looking at this gigantic ass piece of wood coming out of his finger. I'm looking at the redness. I'm like, oh man.
And that's not deep red. That's not Mr. Krabs red, too.
That's exactly what it is. And seeing him trying to pull that splinter out, you can see the skin stretching. Is oh my lord. So what people talking about the whole gross out factor, man, I didn't really pay too much attention to it at first, but obviously coming in through the eyes of a critic, you gotta look at it and just be like, man, you gotta pay attention to that detail. Honestly, it's just like, boy, I can't do it. Oh my lord. I mean, I can do it obviously, but it's people are definitely overplaying it a lot. But it was nasty, 100%. You got any more moments?
No.
I will say, you know what? The ending, this has got to be mentioned too, because Mr. Krabs mentions workman's compensation, and Squidward obviously he wants to get that at home pay, so he basically ends up screwing himself up, right? And he's like, yeah, can I get my compensation now? He's like, nope, your shift ended 5 minutes ago, so he didn't get hurt on the job, so he doesn't have to pay him squat. And I gotta say, listen, that's what Squidward gets. Like, one, him having a more adult mindset. He should have helped SpongeBob out. He's like, man, you know what, SpongeBob, I don't like you, but you know what? You got to get that splinter out of your finger, man. Boom. Get it out for him. Well, obviously, I've been too much of a simple resolution to this episode. They got to get that full 11 minutes in. But despite that, they could have done that, or they could have simply had just that ending, because it really wouldn't have made much of a difference. That's what Mr. Krabs did anyway. But besides all that, man, it just shows like Squidward, you being an asshole. That's what you get. You can't get your workman's comp, and you're all fucked up. So that officially was my last moment on that episode right here. And the Patrick stuff, like you said, was pretty damn stupid too. So, but I'm gonna let you do your review first, because I think I might have a different opinion than you. So let's see what's happening with your review.
In my opinion, it's funny because one of the reviewers I seen at some point, I can't remember who it is, said you'll either find this episode really disgusting or just really boring. And I'm leaning towards, other than like the occasional moment, like the friggin' just the idea of, see, the biggest issue with this episode is, because, when it comes to cartoon pain, you think, piano falling on you and all this other shit, like all this super outrageous shit, but like, this is some realistic ass pain and realistic ass situation. Like, you could imagine yourself. I'm sure
I definitely had a couple splinters. And they hurt, obviously. It's like getting a piece of glass in your foot. But it's like man, seeing SpongeBob go across. Yeah, ooh. And just seeing him go across that floor. Oh, listen, I felt that shit. I ain't even lying to you. You heard that freaking rub on the floor. It was like, oh my God, SpongeBob just got, man. Oh. Boy,
so
boy.
I feel like that's ultimately the problem with this episode. It's not in a realistic, I mean, it's too realistic in the pain, representation of the pain. So, but what I'm saying is, like, other than that, the moment of him getting the splinter, because like I could just imagine, because that just makes me think about freaking that shit sliding in my finger that slow and all that other shit. And that and the friggin' Patrick just friggin' hammer the thing deep in.
Yeah.
Like, that's just
He just
friggin'.
went boom. Just SpongeBob was like, ah. Yeah, I would have been the same. Oh, Patrick, he should have called Sandy. I don't know why he called Patrick. Sandy's a smart one, man. Sandy would have figured that shit out. I don't know why your dumb ass called Patrick. I know that's your homeboy, your day one homie, but boy, you need Sandy up in that motherfucker. I don't know why you call him. But continue.
But yes, but other than that, it's just kind of, the episode is just kind of boring and it's pretty much nothingness. I don't want to give it too much struggle on the plot because, picking a simple plot and putting in good jokes is how you do comedy. Like, for example, like the friggin' the episode where they have to I can't recall the name, but the episode when they have to paint Mr. Krabs' house. It's like
Wet Painters. That was fire. That was my first
Painters.
Episode I ended up watching. That's the
But that's
episode
what I'm
that
saying,
dragged
like,
me into the series.
The premise of that episode is Mr. Patrick and SpongeBob paint Mr. Krabs' house. That's all. That's nothing special. That's no serious plot. That's no nothing, but it's hilarious. And same thing with Chocolate is Nuts. That, at its core, the plot of that episode is SpongeBob and Patrick sell candy bars. So you could have a simple plot idea and just make and just build jokes off of it. That's how you make a lot of comedic episodes. But I feel like this episode is just like, there wasn't really that much funny in it for me.
There definitely wasn't.
So it was like they picked a extremely simple plot and didn't put all the jokes in it that they should have. Right. So all that being said, I'm gonna have to give it, because realistically, I mean, you can't really, ain't much to really say about this episode. You just say it's super boring or it's super gross. But so I'm gonna give it a nice solid 3.
Ooh, you hit that way, but listen, you hit that so low below the belt, you hit that motherfucker in the toes. Oh my god! I don't see. Listen, like you said, it's either gonna be super boring or super gross. To me, honestly, I compared this to the most boring episode of SpongeBob I ever seen, and that was Breaking. That's just my personal opinion, my humble opinion. I consider myself to be a longtime SpongeBob fan, but there's bigger super fans than me. Would I say I'm like a super fan? Nah, not really, but I've seen a lot of SpongeBob. And my personal preference is this episode, I wouldn't say is super boring, because like compared to Breaking, it's just like, man, how can you get more boring than that? So I will say this episode is super gross, which I want to say is probably like the writer's intentions to make, they obviously put huge emphasis on the gross out factors of this episode, which is their point. Their emphasis was on story too, I guess you could say. Like, not a lot happens, but it's just focused around the whole SpongeBob getting a splinter and the whole development of the plot that leads to Mr. Krabs getting the splinter out of his hand. So I'm not going to be as harsh on this as you, despite popular opinion. I'm going to go my own route with this, and I'm going to give it a 5. Granted, like I said, this is not the best episode, nowhere near the best episode, but I'm not going to say this is the worst episode. Like, I think Breaking was worse than this, and I keep referencing that episode, but I can truly say as a SpongeBob fan of, probably 14, 15 years, seeing all the way up from season 1, I really did not enjoy Breaking. I consider that to be the worst episode of SpongeBob SquarePants history. In my personal opinion, I think that deserves a 3. But this, I definitely see it's better than this. Like, yeah, not a lot happened, but it had a better plot than Breaking. And, the only thing with this is just a gross episode. That's it. Honestly, that's it. So I'm going to hit it with a nice 5. But with all that being said, man, my name is the Cartoon Kid Ray Rawlins. He is Alex Payne. I give this episode, SpongeBob SquarePants Season 6, Episode 5, The Splinter, a nice 5, and Alex Payne gives it a 3. This is the Cartoon Kid channel where we talk cartoons and we do it daily, baby. If you want to tell us what you think of the episode down below in the comments box, feel free, man. If you like what we did, you like what we talk about, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. If you don't, well, shit, hit the dislike and get the hell up out of here. But with all that being said, we will see ya when we see ya. Peace.